Hello, this is ADHD God. Gonna be my first podfic, and it is from the Boku no Hero Academia fandom. It is a Izuku Hasashi fic. It is a sick fic. Izuku Midoriya is sick. He has a cold. More on that later. And just some fluff. Just some mic fluff. Just some dad mic fluff. The fic I will be reading is Breaking. Local children should not be outside in the rain. Should not go outside in the rain unprepared. By S_C_G. Summary. In the aftermath of his running away, Izuku gets sick. Yamada takes care of him. Meanwhile, Aizawa and Tsukauchi get a head start on the investigation of his previous foster parents' schemes and their schemes. Izuku wakes up disoriented and covered in blankets. Wait, when did that happen? He squeaks all last night. He squeaks, and all last night floods back. He tried to run away, but Aizawa-san found him and brought him right back. And they know why he ran away from the wannabes, and they promised to help him. Aizawa-san didn't want to hurt him. Izuku was terrified that he would. He had looked for him in the cold and rain. Izuku was a bother and an inconvenience, just like everybody said. But Aizawa-san didn't hit or yell at him for it. He just waited for him to calm down and gently asked why. People don't ask Izuku why. They just get angry. Aizawa-san even said he could stay. That wouldn't go, and that they wouldn't get rid of him, and that they were worried about him. Izuku had pity before from rare old ladies that would coo at the poor quirkless child. No one had ever actually been worried or concerned about him, though. It's a new feeling, and Izuku thinks he might like it. Their eyes were so warm when they gave him hugs, even though he was a burden and made them look for him. The kindness did not leave their eyes. Yamada-san didn't hurt him either. Izuku was scared to face him after his shower. Aizawa-san may have had said they weren't mad, but people would say all sorts of things when they wanted to get what they wanted. But he really wasn't mad. They don't lie to him. They didn't lie to him. They really didn't lie to him. Izuku dragged himself from the scattered Izuku is drawn from his scattered thoughts by a sudden sneeze. He could feel congestion and miserable. He feels congested and miserable. Now he isn't focusing on the events of last night. His head hurts and his throat is sore. He's distracted from self-evaluating while a sudden weight on his chest, Tuna, who had previously been curled up at the end of his bed, moves to his chest to stare at him intently as he sniffles, his eyes nearly crossed of how close she is. She rubs his chin with her head and hops down off the bed, off out to the other room. It's a little weird, but Izuku never claimed to understand cats. But he slumps back down and tries to fall back asleep. By late morning, Hisashi is considering checking up on Izuku. They had a long night, but he wants to make sure he's okay. He was out in the cold rain for a long time. He definitely gotta chill. Hisashi's decision is made for him when Tuna starts meowing at him. She spent the whole night ever since Izuku came back in his room, and Hisashi was fairly certain she wasn't gonna let him out of her sight again, if she can help it. He dolefully follows her as she leaves him straight back to Izuku's room. He knocks to let him know that he's there, and he pushes the door to crack open and he walks in. Izu's awake and looks miserable. His face is all flushed, and he sniffles and sounds congested. His eyes are clouded with discomfort. Hey there, not feeling too good, little one? He put his hand on his forehead and frowned at the heat he found. Izuku just shook his head weakly. Alright, why don't I track down some water for you, and we'll see about some medicine? Sound good? Okay, thanks, Yamada-san. It's a weak response, but Hisashi beams. Anyways, after providing Izuku with plenty of tissues and water and a very low dose of cold medicine, Hisashi texts Shota to let him know what's up. His husband had left not long ago for a meeting with Tsukishima on how to proceed with what they know. He sends an email to Surutori. Sorry if I butcher an author reading note. I'm sorry if I butcher any of these names. I'm not good with names. Back to the story. To Shin. If he calls, he knows it will sound frantic and disturb her working hours. Now, not to mention, she has a tendency to complain within earshot of other staff members. They're still hoping to avoid a suspicion with Nimori appearance, and she hears everything about it. A child, she'll have no problems at taking a surprise half day. He gets a response from both of them rather quick. Shota sending a simple acknowledgement, Shin sending a longer message. She gives him the rundown on medicine and what the signs to look like if the infection might indicate it might need further intervention, but resumes to him that it doesn't seem to be anything worse than a cold. Izuku is going to be fine. He needs to stay hydrated and rest. Something in Hisashi calms a little with the reassurance. Izu will be miserable for a while, but won't spiral. But it shouldn't spiral into anything considering, even with the likely weaker immune system. He heads back to see how Izu is doing, and finds out his finds popped out in his bed, the green blanket around his shoulders, staring blankly at nothing. Hey, Zook. Hey, Izu. Can't go back to sleep. He gets a miserable shake in response. wanna come stay on the couch for a little while? We can set you up with a movie marathon to distract you. I'll make some uke for you and get some more medicine and water. Okay. Izuku dozes his head beneath to best to struggle out of bed, but Hisashi isn't having it. Instead, he scoops up blankets and all that circles over him to the living room couch. It earns an adorable squeak that has him grinning. Another chirp gets him water and tissues placed on the coffee table. Tuna joins him as soon as he's settled and has his blanket arranged, curling up next to him. Hisashi hands him the remote and gives him free range to pick something before heading back to the kitchen. After a few minutes of cooking, Hisashi has a nice bowl of uke all ready and delivers it to the couch. Izu doesn't look excited. Searching up his nose a little bit at the offering, but doubtfully does his best to eat some. He's got a nature documentary picked out. Something about jellyfish by the looks of it. Once he's done eating, Hisashi takes the bowl and sits next to him on the couch. Izu seems surprised, but eventually finds himself leaning into his side. Hisashi, quiet, ecstatic at the show of distrust, wraps an arm around his shoulder and gently plays with his hair. He has a sleeping child in his arms not long after. Shota is a little concerned after getting word that Izuku is sick from Hisashi, but ultimately he's more useful here. Hisashi is perfectly capable of handling a sick kid. He emailed Tsukishima soon after and got right back home to a response Tsukishima as soon as they got home and got a response at a responsible hour that morning. I'm fine. Oh, sorry, I skipped. Responsible hour that morning. Tsukishima looks exhausted as usual, but sends Shota a tired smile, but waves him to, and as he waves him to his office. Good morning. Do you want some coffee? I'm pretty sure there's still some left. He squawked over to the coffee machine from his office window, trying to assort the state of his distance. Trying to assess the state of his distance. I'm fine. Thanks, Tsukishima. Tsukishima. I'm here about what we discussed recently. Oh, yeah. Oh, the kid Mike found? Anything you can tell me? Yes. He ran away last night. Shota didn't have to phrase it like that, but he enjoys messing with the detective. That's too bad. If you give me a description, I can put an alert. I know Mike says he's scared of the law enforcement, but I appreciate it, but that won't be necessary. I managed to track him down before he got too far. He's at home now with Hisashi. For now, he is a little under the weather. Tsukishima, glaring at a little side of the ominously sighing. Before sighing, That's good. So, why are you here then? I asked him why he ran away, and he told me. Shorta shrugged. What about what all have you heard? I suspect quirk discrimination, system neglect, and definitely abuse from parties by some parties. Mike didn't say much, but I got a sense it wasn't pretty. I must say I am honored that you trust me enough to take care of it. That's most of it, but I asked him what made him run, and unfortunately it's looking more complicated than that. Tsukishima Tatsukiri tilts his head in Tsukishima tilts his head in interest. He ran because we knew his name, and he was terrified we'd report finding him. He ran on the run from someone in the underground. Someone powerful, apparently with eyes and ears in many places. That certainly makes things more complicated. We'll need to be extra careful with this case. If that case, I can do an interview at this place once he's feeling better, to avoid anybody hearing or seeing him. I can definitely get his witness protection file, some higher clearance. Since he's still listed anonymously, you can change his name easily. We can keep his actual identity out of these things for most of the parts. I'll need to know, but I think we can manage to stick to me right for now. Foster care won't try to get involved for a while. Yet, how they wrapped up, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I will need a name, though. Midoriya Izuku. His last placement was in Kamino. Okay, I'll look into it. Let me know if he's feeling better so we can set up a time. Will do. Thanks, Tsukishima. It's probably Takashi, but it's too late in the fic to fix that. Sorry if this annoys people. Shota leaves the station feeling better that they've secured a powerful ally in the police force. He's agreed to help now, not only with the investigation, but keeping Izuku safe. Izuku wakes up warm. He's still slumped into Yamada-san's side. It's really nice having somebody care for him. Yamada-san could have left him alone on the couch with the remote and to recover, but he didn't. It touches the same long forgotten part of him that wants to be cared for, to be protected. He's still groggy and let out, and he's still groggy and very out of it. So he just readjusts his positions and winds his arms around his companion's torso and curls up. It's a little uncomfortable, but Izuku loves the affection. He completely unaware of a soft smile that gets his attention, or the picture that is discreetly snapped and sent off by a smug husband to his partner. All he knows is that someone is staying with him, and he never wants to leave them. Hisashi is not going to move. Izu is hugging him, and he's never gonna move again. The couch is his home for the foreseeable future. He could scream with joy if that wouldn't risk waking Izu up. It's as unhappy as he is how sick and miserable the little listener is. He cannot deny how wonderful it is to see he is trusted so much. Izuku is much more vulnerable than usual like this, but he's seeking comfort from Hisashi. Anyways, he hasn't flinched or moved away once. Progress. He won't deny showing off a little to Shota. He can't wait to tell Nimura about and their other friends. He's not gonna sure when he'll be able to, but he's sure looking forward to it. Seeing that the last one is over. Seeing the last one is over, he switches to a new documentary on whales and settles in, resuming his gentle playing with Izu's hair. Shota stops by Yue on the way home to receive some essays. Classes are in section, so he doesn't have to worry about Nimuri interrogating him about their absence. He takes a quick peek into his office and Hisashi's, and he has plenty of work for both of them to do. It won't do if they completely fall behind marking their classes while they get Izu settled in. On the way home, he gets a call from Tsukishima. Odd. Shota was not expecting to get a call back from him so soon. Eraser, I have good news. Go ahead. You are right about needing to be careful with this one. Looking into it, Midoriya's last foster parents, Ren and Shukigiri Waterby, here are the thing. They're gone. No trace of them. They just reported missing mid-May by a friend. Local police hardly looked into it. They said they moved out of the country in short notice for a job. They didn't notify all their contacts. There are some overlaps with the officers who handled Midoriya's missing case too. Making an individual foster kid disappear isn't that hard. Most departments won't put an effort into finding them if the foster parents and care workers don't care. It's easy. 2 adults, especially relatively well-connected ones like the Wallabies, are much harder to get rid of without a fuss. Shota listens as Tsukishima sighs as a rustling sound as he's running a hand running through his hair comes through the speaker. This is big, Eraser. I don't know how big yet, but we're looking at a large operation. Honestly, it's a miracle Midoriya's evaded them for so long. The fact he has made it so far from Komodo is probably helped a lot. I'm going to need his statement. But we're looking at a lot of corruption just in Komodo. And I have a few ideas of how. I have no idea how locals this out locals this is local outfits in this area. Shota discreetly hears himself making him end the call, managing to end the call. It's not that he didn't believe Izuku when he told him that people were working for an organization after him, but lowlifes like the wannabes, interesting with an internizing with an organized crime, all over their heads, tends to tell a tale. It sounded like Ren Wallaby is trying to convince his wife to go through with their plot. It's not hard to imagine that he played up the strength of this group and downplayed the risks of being caught. Unfortunately, quirk trafficking and experiments isn't as rare as it should be. There are small, poorly organized outlets, as well as large, nearly impossible ones to destroy. From the wallabies' base of account, it's hard to determine which kind they're dealing with. It turns out one wallaby wasn't executed that well with a useful and versatile quirk like shock absorption. Shoto wouldn't be surprised if trying to tie up loose ends came with an added bonus of adding another test subject. The wallabies were in over their heads and had to pay directly for it. Shoto can't say how much he sympathizes. Shoto can't say if he feels any sympathy for them. The only regret he has is that the organization is good at covering up their crimes is going to be much harder to put down. He might need Nezu on this. He'll have to ask Izuku about it. He smiles at the picture Hizashi sent him of Izuku curled up on the couch covered in a blanket with his head resting on Hizashi's lap and his arms wrapped around his waist. It looks a little awkward, but Hizashi is beaming and Izuku looks content. A little flushed, but a little flushed. He saves it and makes it to the restway home. Izuku wakes up, stiff, sore, and feeling awful. But Yamada-san is still with him. Still absently playing with his hair. It's wonderful. He needs to get up to use the bathroom, but he doesn't want to move. Hey, Izu, you awake? He nods, makes some moves off his lap. Thank you for staying with me. Of course, little listener. I would hate to leave you alone while you're feeling sick. Izu just nods again. Once he's feeling ready to stand up on his feet, he heads to the bathroom and comes back to a new glass of water and pills lay out on the coffee table, he can't help but feel a little disappointed that Yamada-san isn't there anymore, but he tries not to let it bother him and tries to focus on taking the pills. He wasted enough time on Izuku already. His disappointment doesn't last long, as for a few minutes later, he's surprised to find Yamada-san returning with 2 bowls of food. I made myself some lunch. I don't know your appetite, so I just repeated your okayai. So, try to eat some more if you can. Izuku takes it and surprised how hungry he turns out to be. He almost finished his bowl, and Yamada-san eats with him on the couch and comes right back after putting his dishes away. So, it's so strange to have somebody take care of you. It's even stranger to have them stay with you. Izuku finds he can handle recovering on his own. Yamada-san has already helped him so much by giving him medicine and food. He can't bring himself to voice any protest, though. Not when he feels not sure what it is, but he never wants his feeling to go away, so he leans into the side of the half focused on whatever narrator is saying about meerkats. That is the complete fic of Breaking Local Children Should Not Be Outside in the Rain Unprepared.